Underrated games have always been an interesting discussion for me because they fill the niche category of great games not too many know about. Some people refer these types of games as hidden gems too, and in today's video I want to count down my top 10 underrated games, as I think there are so many good choices to pick from. Let me also know in the comments which games you think are underrated yet great games, but without further ado, my name is Hepodix and I hope you enjoy the video. Starting the list at number 10, we have Muramasa the Demon Blade for Nintendo Wii, which was also released for the PS Vita, but is more widely recognized on the Wii. Created by Vanillaware, Muramasa is a 2D action RPG game with a hack-and-slash combat, beautiful hand-drawn graphics, and overall excellent design and mastery of the genre. The game features two different campaigns, as you either will choose Momohime's or Kisuke's story. That is a great design choice, as they each provide different storylines and progression, so there are more hours you can invest in this great game. However, it didn't sell that well. With a total of 600,000 copies sold worldwide, as well as 240,000 copies for PS Vita, Muramasa the Demon Blade is really underrated. You need to understand that the Nintendo Wii sold over 101 million units worldwide, so that taken into account, that's a less than 1% of the Wii owners that have this game, and that's a really shame because the action RPG genre is something special, and for all the hack and slash lovers out there, it's a must-play game. Moving to number 9 spot, let's talk about a Japanese role-playing game, Lost Odyssey, that was released exclusively for the Xbox 360. It was developed by Mistwalker and Feel Plus, as the gameplay style is very similar to other JRPGs such as Final Fantasy VII, but not in a bad way. Lost Odyssey even features the Final Fantasy series veteran composer Nobuo Uematsu, who made the soundtrack for this game. The graphics, story and characters are great, and the combat system incorporates aspects of battle initiative and length of actions to determine how events resolve each turn. It's nothing innovative or that new, but with everything said above, how can this game sell so badly? First of all, this was an Xbox 360 exclusive, which to my understanding doesn't have as many JRPG fans compared to Sony and Nintendo hardware owners. It sold only 900,000 copies worldwide, which isn't the lowest on this list, but still not high enough numbers for it to be called mainstream either. Lost Odyssey just begs to be re-released on newer platforms for it to get more exposure, and I hope it does, because it's truly a hidden gem for the Xbox 360.
Whining, okay. Is that all you can say? Can't we just rest in that hut over there?
At number 8 spot we have something for the PlayStation 3, as I'm going to talk about a game called 3D Dot Game Heroes, made by Silicon Studio. If you haven't seen this game before, you must be thinking that it's totally a classic Zelda ripoff with Minecraft-style graphics, and yes, quite frankly the gameplay style is heavily inspired by Zelda, but don't judge the book by its cover. Despite the similarities, this game is so much fun as you traverse across different lands and dungeons in order to progress and make yourself stronger, as well as obtain new fun weapons and items to play around with. If you're looking for something akin to the original The Legend of Zelda or Link to the Past, I cannot recommend this game enough because it offers similar puzzle-solving elements and that good old feel of adventure that the Zelda games are known for. Sadly, this game didn't sell that well though. 3D Dot Game Heroes was only released for the PS3 and it sold 570,000 copies worldwide, which is a really low number considering that over 87 million PlayStation 3s were sold in a total. In my opinion, I think that the overall visual style and clear similarities to other popular games made people not want to buy this, and what's with the name anyways? 3D Dot Game Heroes? Very odd title indeed. How about The Legend of Minecraft? 3D Adventure Heroes instead? Ugh. Taking a look at the number 7 spot, Grandia is a JRPG released for the original PlayStation and Sega Saturn, of which the former I personally have great memories of. Grandia is an adventure and isn't ashamed to show it because the game provides fun characters, gameplay, good storyline, and the soundtrack for Grandia is just memorable. When this game was distributed between the years 1997 to 2000, it got stomped by bigger giants such as Final Fantasy 7 and 8, as the 3D games were blooming at the time and not sprite-based 2D JRPGs. And this is no doubt seen in the sales chart too. The original PlayStation sold over 102 million units worldwide, and Grandia sold only a devastatingly low amount of 250,000 copies. Weirdly, the Sega Saturn did better, selling 420,000 copies, but it was a Japanese-only exclusive, while the PlayStation version was exclusive to anyone but Japanese people. Weird. But unlike some of the other entries in this list, Grandia has been re-released for PlayStation Network and as a HD collection to PC and Nintendo Switch, which makes me happy because this game deserves bigger attention for the amount and effort Game Arts have put into this game. Moving on to number 6 spot, let's talk about a party game for the GameCube called WarioWare Inc. Mega Party Games. It is basically a remake of WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro games released for the Game Boy Advance, but with added features such as the multiplayer mode that supports up to 4 players, which make this game a blast to play locally with your friends. Despite the awesome multiplayer capabilities this game offers, it didn't have awesome sales numbers. WarioWare Inc. Mega Party Games sold a total of 710,000 copies worldwide, which isn't horrible considering the GameCube's total sales, which add up to almost 22 million units sold, but I still don't think people appreciate enough one of the best local multiplayers in my opinion, because it's truly a fun time to have. All I can hope now is for Nintendo to re-release this game or make a new old school like WarioWare game for the Nintendo Switch, because they will be a perfect fit for the console. At number 5 spot, I really need to talk about a pair of hidden gems on the PS1 named Tombi 1 and 2. For clarification, in Europe the series was called Tombi, and in North America the name was changed to Tomba, which is just a weird decision on their end. It's like if Spyro was called Spyro in Europe and for Japanese audience they switched it to Spyro. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense to me. Stop changing the letters! Anyways, back to Tombi and its sequel. They're both platform adventure games with fun visual style, gameplay, story and lots of evil pigs. Tombi uses purely 2D sprites while Tombi 2 uses 3D models in a 2D playing field, and I like both styles just as much. It's one of those games that you either fall in love with or just don't understand, but they're great games nevertheless. Sadly, the Tombi games failed commercially, which caused the developer studio Whoopee Camp to go out of business. Tombi sold a total of 260,000 copies on the PS1, while its sequel did slightly better, selling 290,000 copies in a total, but they're still too low numbers to stay afloat. Also, the lack of Japanese release altogether didn't help the situation either. They got re-released on the PlayStation Network, which helps them to get some of that lacking audience. Unless you're willing to buy the original copies that are extremely hard to find these days and can cost you around $100 to $200 easily, your best bet is just to get them digitally from PSN.
You need some cooling off.
For the number 4 spot, let's take a look at something more old school, as we have next on the list an NES game called Euphoria: The Saga. Euphoria is a side-scrolling action-adventure game developed and published by Sunsoft, a known developer at the time. Your first objective is to find Bob Louie's 3 friends, Shades, Freon Leon and Gil, who have all different abilities and can be utilized in different situations to come. Along the way you collect new items and power-ups to ease in your journey, as well as fight some bosses too. It's a fun little adventure for the NES, but really difficult to get a hand on a copy nowadays unless you're willing to pay a lot of money, but it got released for the Virtual Console as well as for the Wii U, so there is some hope for those who are interested. I wasn't able to find any sales data, but I know for a fact that this game sold poorly despite its positive reception from fans. The main issue was that Euphoria: The Saga was released between the years 1991 to 1992 exclusively for the NES. This is an issue because Super Nintendo was already out for a couple of years, which made it a hard sell, thus selling poorly. It's a similar fate that some other good NES games suffered, such as Mr. Gimmick, that's also be praised, but got released exclusively for the NES between the years 1992 to 1993. At number 3 spot, we have another GameCube game on our hands as we take a look at The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures. This game is just so much fun, and it begs the question, how can a Zelda game sell so poorly? Compared to Zelda Wind Waker's 4.43 million copies sold, 4 Swords Adventures sold only 930,000 copies worldwide, which is quite little for a Zelda game despite being a spin-off entry. Nintendo really needs to re-release this game for the Switch because it can be played with up to 4 players locally. The game follows the similar art style of the Minish Cap and 4 Swords, the latter being a quote-unquote sub-series released for Nintendo's handhelds. The main mode of 4 Swords Adventures, called Hyrulean Adventure, is an episodic cooperative multiplayer adaptation of conventional The Legend of Zelda gameplay. You traverse across different worlds, solve puzzles, and traverse yourself through as the main goal is to defeat Ganon. Pretty classic Zelda formula, but the addition of multiplayer is what makes it shine for me, and thus is really underrated overall as a semi-casual co-op game. At the second spot we have Klonoa 2, Lunatea's Veil, that was released pretty soon after PlayStation 2's launch date, between March to November 2001 depending on the region. It's a direct sequel to the original PlayStation's Klonoa, Door to Phantomile, and has a similar gameplay style, but this time it's a 2D side-scrolling action in 3D rendered environment, the same way aforementioned Tombi and Tombi 2 differentiate from each other. Klonoa 2 is a fun platformer game with its unique mechanics, as you can jump normally, but also use Klonoa's wind ring to shoot opponents to either do a double jump or use an as attack. As you traverse across different levels, or visions as they're called in game, the game also has different varieties of collectibles to obtain, which makes it a collectathon game as well. It makes me wonder if top 10 collectathon games could make for an interesting video topic. I just can't fathom how this game sold so poorly, and thus there never was Klonoa 3 as a result of that. The main character Klonoa, the overall design and the visual style are just too adorable to meet this cruel fate. Klonoa 2 sold only 330,000 copies worldwide, and considering that PlayStation 2 sold a record-breaking amount of over 157 million units worldwide, it's a ridiculously low amount of copies sold for the system. And the game has not been re-released anywhere, unlike Klonoa Door to Phantomile that got re-released for the Wii, but due to low sales numbers it's no surprise. Klonoa 2 is a true hidden gem for the PS2 and all the platform lovers out there, a must-play game in my opinion. We're finally at the top 1 spot, as I need to talk about another JRPG for the PlayStation, that is Breath of Fire 3. I don't see that many people talking about this masterpiece, and I wonder why, because it's an excellent game for what it has to offer. Breath of Fire 3 is an extremely nostalgic game to me too, but I want to cast that aside and also be honest about it too. I don't want to dig too deep into the story, gameplay or characters, or else this video will last for another 10 minutes, so instead I'll put 2 good reviews in the video description below for you to check out if the game piques your interest. Breath of Fire 3 is a traditional RPG. It doesn't revolutionize anything, but the combat mechanics, story, characters, and the BoF 3 universe is just so much fun to explore as the storyline goes further. You also get great twists along the way, as you just cannot stop until you have finished the game. From this top 10 list, funnily enough, Breath of Fire 3 sold the highest amount of copies worldwide, with PS1 and PSP combined, but I just don't see the big amounts of recognition towards it, so I just had to put it at number 1 spot for that reason alone. But as the game mainly uses sprite work as a visual tool instead of 3D models, it kind of suffered the same fate as Grandia, because the bigger 3D JRPG giants at the time just squashed these games under, making them hidden gems in the process. If you made it this far, I want to thank you for watching the top 10 underrated games. Please like this video as it helps me to grow, and subscribe for more great gaming related top 10 videos to come. Your top 10 ideas are also welcome at the comment section below. It was a lot of work put together and I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. Let me know your favorite underrated games in the comments section below, and if we receive a lot of entries, there could be potentially a sequel to this video at some point in time in the future. Any sort of feedback is also welcome. That's it for this time. My name is Hepodix and have a nice day.